I actually saw TV I could talk about.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Outside of WandaVision.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we didn't talk about that last week.
Oh, well, because we saw it after. Episode 4 was after podcast, sir.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it today. Which is why, if you notice...
No, I'm saying we didn't talk about episode 3.
We didn't talk about episode 3.
Someone's
you
phone
guys...
did a zed.
that was me. So you guys haven't... you guys watched episode 4?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're all
Okay,
caught
good.
up.
Okay, good. All right. Everybody ready?
Yep.
Yes.
On this episode of the Culture Smash Cast,
Black Panther joins the Marvel TV club.
I guess the paradox wasn't enough.
And it's time for the Golden Globes.
it's the Culture Smash Cast, episode 554 for February the 3rd, 2021. I'm Stephen Lackey, editor of CultureSmash.tv. Nico?
Nicholas Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Tina?
Tina Qualls, contributor to CultureSmash.tv.
Zach?
Zach Martin. I really miss movie theaters.
And Nathan is on a 36-hour layover somewhere in Alabama.
He could have drove up and did the show.
And then drove back. Yeah. No, it's only, 2.5 hours?
Who lay? Oh, I thought you said, I mean, who lays over in Alabama?
That's the trials of being a flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
I try to schedule my layovers as interestingly as possible. Like for Ireland, we have like a 6-hour layover in Boston. We're going to use that time to connect with one of our friends in Boston for like dinner.
That's awesome. I would like to see Boston. I've actually never been there.
I really want to go to Boston, like to spend a week in Boston. I think it would be great.
I think it would be too.
Nico would get frustrated because it'd just be like DC, where I know exactly where I'm going because I've played Fallout 4 religiously.
Yeah, but that one I actually also played a lot of too, so I could kind of follow along a little bit better.
That's hilarious. Is it actually accurate, like in DC? Like,
yeah, no.
to the game?
Bethesda does like years of research on a location to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Sometimes they have to mess with the scaling. Like, you can't walk from Chevy Chase to Arlington, I mean, you could, but, and just like with Fallout New Vegas, it's like Prim is like within sight of Good Springs, which, I mean, it's a couple exits away, but, they still do relatively close to the same areas. So they do a lot of research for it.
All right. That's pretty cool. So, what have you guys been up to over the weekend? Anything interesting?
Reading, taking care of pup. We had a puppy play date. So,
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. I finished the second book of the Children of Blood and Bone series called Children of Virtue and Vengeance, which is one of the ones that Lucasfilms is producing. Children of Blood and Bone series.
Oh, cool.
So.
I was sick. It was horrible.
Zach, you're having a horrible time all around, sir. Life is horrible for you.
Yeah, this past week has had many highs and many lows.
You should just go into GameStop and just pick a corner of one of the stores and say, I own this.
No. If I bring anything in there, they're going to be like, give you a quarter for that. My phone, I'll give you $1.50 for it.
They'll give you more for your phone than they will for your stock.
I mean,
yeah, because the
that would require me going to GameStop,
right?
That would require me going to GameStop and paying overly, large prices for those games.
Well, they're physical, like their new releases.
Oh, they're physical.
They're the same price, but their used prices are stupid.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I switched to PC many years ago, and I am used to things going on sale and me picking up games at like a really good price.
You're spoiled.
I guess I am. And then I go into GameStop and I'm like, this game's been out for like 6 years. It'll be
Why is it
pretty
still
cheap.
$20?
$39.99. What is this?
Yep. There's a few places around here we can go and get them.
I want to pick up the new Mario game that's been out for 5 years. I
Well,
can buy it new for $59.99, or I can buy it used for $54.99. It's like, what is the fucking point at that point? Like, what?
Yeah.
Why even
Oh, so
bother?
What was the side scroller game that you liked, Zach? That was something about nightmares or whatever.
Oh, Limbo
Okay, no, that's not.
or
it.
Inside?
Maybe that was it.
Though they're both by Playdead.
There's a side scroller like something nightmare game or something like that. That's
Little
supposed to be.
Nightmares.
That's it. Yeah, it's free. It's free on Xbox right now.
I haven't played that one.
I downloaded it. We'll see if I get around to it.
Yeah, let me.
I don't know. My Xbox is turning into a DVD machine pretty much.
I actually booted up and played DBD the other day.
Bitch, you didn't play with me.
For the first time in like 4 months.
For the first time in
And we actually had a pretty
forever.
decent, couple games, and then we started to get our buttholes absolutely slammed in.
Yeah, that's been
Oh,
happening
you're
to
used
us
to
too.
that, though, Zach.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, there's that homeless man armpit smell I remember. Because that's all that
Yeah.
game is. The game goes, yeah, this is the way I smell. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now lick it.
I'm ranked like 16 right now, and Sarah's ranked like 14, and we played against a rank 1 killer last night.
Man.
Yeah.
Matchmaking.
Yeah.
I used to be ranked like 7 or 8, and then I just stopped playing. So now I'm back at rank 20.
Well, it resets now every 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah, so I just got absolutely back to baby's day out. So maybe that's why I was like, oh, these first few matches aren't that bad. They don't know how to hit us.
So, Zach, you should go. They have a survey on the DVD website right now about your game experience. And Sarah and I both went and filled it out with choice words about matchmaking. Tina, you guys need to get that game and play with us. It is fun when you play with friends.
Get it on PC. Don't get on Switch.
It doesn't matter. You can get it on PC, Switch, or PS5.
But don't.
Whatever.
Okay. Don't get the Switch.
PS4.
The Switch is like unplayable.
Well, that's not true. I played it on Switch. Nathan still plays it on Switch. You're just spoiled because you played it on PC first.
I'm saying the frame rate on the Switch is so bad. It's like 21 FPS.
Okay. Well, this will be a long conversation. So let's just move on to the first story.
If you cannot maintain at least a 30, I understand it's a console.
It's not even a console.
Damn.
It's a handheld. It's a handheld.
Yeah, and the graphics on here are Nintendo 64.
Well, if you want to play subpar, you can play on any of those systems, or you can come and play it on the Xbox.
Yeah, the Xbox is like, I'd say the Xbox looks better than the PC.
Well, we got that 4K. It's looking beautiful now.
I don't understand that. It looks better on Xbox.
All right. Let's hit this. Speaking of games and attractions, let's hit this first story.
Yes, so the already cool sounding Studio Ghibli theme park now sounds even better. Aichi Prefecture, where it will be located, revealed that a real-life Howl's Moving Castle will also be built on the ground. Sadly, the castle won't move and will be smaller than the one in the movie. However, as Tokyo Shimbun notes, it will be as tall as a 4 to 5 story building. So far, we know that the park will be divided into different areas. We have Ghibli's giant warehouse, which is filled with all sorts of Ghibli stuff. Dondoko Forest, which is Totoro themed. Princess Mononoke Village. Pretty self-explanatory there. Springtime of Life Hill has attractions modeled after The Cat Returns and Whisper of the Heart. And Witch Valley features Kiki's delivery service and Howl's Moving Castle attractions. So
this adds another thing to my bucket list.
I know, I want to go so bad, especially if they have like the food that's in a lot of the Ghibli movies. Like,
oh man, that breakfast in that movie. Like,
I'm concerned about the Totoro section though. Are there going to be furry animals with their balls out?
Yes.
Probably.
Actually,
it's
more
Japan.
The furry animals with the balls, isn't that
Pompoko,
yeah.
That's
still a
what it
Ghibli
is.
movie.
Pompoko, yeah.
I wonder if they'll have like a flight simulator.
That would be amazing.
They should have a go-kart track, but it's all cat buses.
Yes.
Oh my god, that would be hilarious.
They should have an archery range where you get to you pop people's arms and heads off.
So they showed a cool looking rendering of what the castle is going to look
Yeah.
like. And Zach, you immediately complained and said you wanted something else
I
instead.
wanted like the tea bathhouse from Spirited Away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that might.
that would
I
be
mean,
cool.
that might come later.
The
You don't
food
know.
in there, yeah, you want the food in that place too, don't you? Yeah.
I actually made a joke today. One of our friends bought a house, and my brother commented about how much he loved the kitchen. And she was like, "Yeah, I can't wait to cook in there." And I'm like, "So what I'm hearing is we all just need to have after the pandemic, we all just need to go over to your place and recreate the feast from Spirited Away." That's what I'm hearing. So, yes,
That
I
sounds like a
absolutely
plan.
love the food.
So
now I'm just remembering Super Bowl sushi.
Oh, see,
That was a sad
Super
memory.
Bowl
I
sushi
wonder.
memories have been popping up like big time on my Facebook
So
page.
for our audience, there's a restaurant in Nashville that does an all-you-can-eat sushi buffet on Super Bowl Sunday, which of course, thanks to the pandemic, is not happening this year.
Yeah. But I mean,
it's happening, right? They're still doing it.
I don't think so.
no,
They were
I thought they
cleaning-
canceled.
Well, let me.
I mean, I'm not going
I'm
regardless.
That's
not
what I
doing
heard.
that.
There's no
Yeah.
way I'm doing it. I'm just like, are they doing it?
But
Is that
like,
restaurant? I love it, but it's really small and tight.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the last couple of years, we've gotten like one of the big
Tatami rooms.
tatami rooms where you can fit. I think the most we fit was like what 11 people, 10 people.
Yeah, and I think that was in the 8-person room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they are not doing it. They are keeping their doors closed until the 8th. So
Yeah.
since the Super
But
Bowl's
they
on the
have
7th,
They have some premium sushi.
They have premium sushi year round, but on that
Yeah.
day,
It's like
they
legit.
pull out all the stops. Yeah.
And then attached to that is their, Japanese grocery store
The
with
grocery store is still open, by the way.
yeah.
That's still open. I
Which
love that little
KJ
store.
usually gets a pint or 5 of the green tea ice
Green
cream.
tea ice
oh,
cream.
it's so good.
And I always buy Pocky. And then our friend Stephanie, who has been on the show before, always buys the weird shit. Like, she always goes in there and buys the weirdest candy
If
or
they
snack
have
she can
pudding
find.
or mochi, I usually get that.
She gets those mochi balls a lot of times.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's in them. They're like sweet. But
Yes. They're delicious.
yeah, another victim of the pandemic. Once we all have the vax, we should just go there and eat anyway.
Yes.
I think that goes on the to-do list. All right, let's look at the box office. There actually was a new movie this weekend, and I can talk about it. Number 10 was The War with Grandpa. It made $141,000.
Stop! Why is this
19.6.
movie? Why?
'Cause it's
People,
pandemic.
stop seeing this piece of shit movie.
Because it's pandemic. That's why. Number
God
9 is
damn it.
Our Friend. It made $152,000, $446,000 so far. Number 8 is Fatale. It made $217,000. It's made $5.5 million so far. Okay, number 7 is Promising Young Woman. See, you guys should see that. You should go see that. It's 265,000 it's made so far, or made this weekend. 4.3 million it has made in the theaters. Number 6 is News of the World. That made $542,000. It made $10 million. Number 5 is Monster Hunter. It made $735,000. It's made $11 million so far. Number 4 is The Marksman. I don't know anything about that, but it made
That's the Liam Neeson movie, though, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. We talked about.
I think you say you know nothing about it every episode.
Yeah, because it's such a generic name, it doesn't stick, But it's made 7.8 million so far, so I guess some people are seeing it. Number 3 is Wonder Woman 1984. It made 1.3 million. It's made 39 so far, and to my knowledge, I believe it's supposed to be just in theaters now, right?
Yeah,
the month's
it's
over.
off HBO.
Number 2 is The Croods, A New Age. It made 1.8 million. It's made almost 44 million so far. And opening new over the weekend is The Little Things. Made 4.7 million as an opening weekend premiere. The Little Things is a movie with Denzel Washington and
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto.
Oh,
And
pass.
Yeah, and it is a dual premiere. It was premiered on HBO Max also. So I was bored the other night and watched it, and it's a movie.
It
Yeah,
looked
double
like a
pass then.
movie that had been done before. Like we've done this entire genre 100 times.
Not
before.
only has the genre been done before, but the characters have been done before. Denzel Washington plays a homicide detective who was involved in something really bad that saw him step away from that and go take a job as a sheriff in a small town.
Wait, hold on.
Copland was the first thing that came to mind, or something else came to mind.
Hold on. We parodied this before. It was called Hot Fuzz.
Yeah. So that's literally the depth of character you get.
We
Okay.
parodied that
And okay,
already.
but
Jesus.
he has to go back to the big city where he originally worked for reasons, and literally reasons that don't matter. And he ends up getting partnered with Rami Malek, who is very miscast in this movie. And Rami Malek is a young guy who took his place, and he's like this hot detective, and they have to try to find a way to get along to solve a murder serial killer case. Jared Leto, of course, plays a suspect, very typecast. If you've ever seen Jared Leto in anything, it's pretty much the same character all over again. It's not that it's terribly done. You know, the one funny thing about it, and Zach, I know you'll probably appreciate this, and well, I guess you guys too, but is when I'm watching it, I just felt like it was meh, like not terribly done, but not particularly good either. But it looked like a movie. It looked like it was shot for theaters. And I'm like watching it thinking, this is the first new movie I've seen since last year that looks cinematically like it was shot for theaters. Like the camera just doesn't follow the car. The camera moves around the car, and there's like time was spent, and you could just tell. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so desperate for a real movie that I'm actually appreciating this, because it's meh. I mean, if I was reviewing it, it would probably get like 3 out of 10.
A 3 is not good.
Yeah, it's like
Thanks,
because
Zach.
there's
No, I'm saying like a meh for me is like a 5. So a 3, I'd be pissed off as hell.
I'm not. Well, I guess I'm not pissed off as hell because I didn't expect much to begin with. The only reason it gets a 3 is because Denzel Washington, as always, is good in it. He carries it, but there's just no depth of character. The plot is like paint by numbers, and there's nothing. I mean, there were a couple of pieces. There's some bones in there that could have been good if they had really actually developed the characters. There's a couple little twists and turns that might have been good if they just built the story out more.
Jared Leto ruined it, didn't he?
Jared Leto did not ruin it as much as Malik did, to be honest with you, as Rami Malek did. I've seen him in better things, and I just did not feel he was good. Jared Leto, he's just the same as he always is, you know, for the time he's in the movie, which is not that much. So I would say don't waste your time, you know, unless you're bored.
So that's 0 for 2 for HBO Max.
It is. I was thinking that too.
I was. This is like the first of the like Wonder Woman was still a specialty case, and then HBO did their whole slate of these are the movies we're going to release simultaneously with theaters. Is this the first one of those? Technically,
I think it is. And this is a movie. Had it come out in theaters, it would have been one of those that made $20 million. Yeah, and then disappeared because it's just not getting good reviews, and rightfully so, because it's just it's so old. Like, all right, let's get into the stories. We got some fun stuff to talk about, and I have a section here that we used to do where we would talk about opening in theaters for the week, and we actually have something here. I'm just going to read the promotion as Nico shared it in our news group. Experience the Lord of the Rings trilogy in IMAX for the first time, February the 2nd. That's the date today. Revisit the epic adventures in breathtaking landscapes like you've never seen them before. The Lord of the Rings trilogy was remastered by Peter Jackson in stunning 4K for a cohesive look and feel for the Middle Earth saga. The Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring will open in IMAX theaters on February the 5th, which is this weekend.
Yeah, they're basically doing Fellowship this weekend, then Two Towers the next weekend, and Return of the King the next weekend.
So this is kind of a bogus promotion because you guys talked about this a little bit in the conversation following that post. And this movie was out in IMAX. All three of these movies were
well,
out
Zach,
in
didn't
IMAX.
you look that up?
See, yeah, I could have swore on.
There's no I could have swore. I saw it in IMAX, and it was one of the coolest IMAX experiences I've ever had.
I fucking knew it, dude. I'm sitting there going,
it.
like, I bring up the list of all the movies released in IMAX DMR, including the ones that weren't, and none of them are listed. I'm like, well, I guess I guess I'm wrong.
I think the way they're justifying the promotion is what Nico said. This version, remaster has never been in IMAX before, which is stupid because it's never been in any theater before. But
yeah, it just came out like last fall.
Right. But that screening I went to, especially of Lord of the Rings, was incredible because I remember going in that theater and it was packed. It was sold out. And I had been looking forward to the movie so much, I was afraid there were going to be people talking during it and ruining it. And I'll never forget when the Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers logo comes up. You could hear a pin drop. That theater was dead silent. Everybody was just ready.
I was about to say, I remember my
Packed
friend going
theaters.
to at least Return of the King. I remember seeing a Return of the King IMAX poster, which I searched for. It ain't there on Google.
I saw all of these movies in IMAX.
I remember my friend going to the midnight showing in IMAX, and he said the sound was like unlike anything he had ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I know these were released, at least the third one.
All of it.
It's nice to know I'm not crazy.
No, you're not crazy. I saw all three of them in IMAX. So literally, they just must be riffing on these 4K,
which is
remasters,
which I haven't seen the 4K like Blu-ray release yet.
Every single person who posts an article, I saw one fucking yesterday. It was like, how dare you change some of this stuff, and then they don't post an example of like before and after.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was going to ask.
How am I
you,
supposed
Zach,
to get on your side of this argument?
Apparently, Peter Jackson does an intro for the movie talking about the changes he made and why he made it.
Now, I did see one thing from Two Towers that it's a change, and I don't like it.
Does Gandalf come from the north instead of the west?
No, it's basically when Elrond starts to tell Arwen about her future, about how she'll go on, and then he'll die, and then she'll be sad and live out the rest of her life wasting it. Essentially, they took that sequence and made it like this milky black and white
why
like look. And I'm like,
what's the reason for that?
The justification could be like that it's a vision. But I look at it and I'm like,
this sounds like tell it was like a vision dream-like sequence. That's kind of BS.
Let me see if I can
some
find
George
that.
Lucas sounding shit.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
That's the justification that like other people have come up with. Jackson hasn't, directly said that. I'll see if I can find this because it's starkly different.
I wonder if there was something in that scene, something in the background, or something in that scene he's covering up. Because I don't see him being the guy that's going to actually change that much of the movie. I mean, I can see him. Go ahead.
I was going to say that also seems not to match the stated reasoning of trying to bring a cohesive vision into the Jackson Tolkien verse. Like it, from my understanding, it was trying to update the graphic, the remastering of Lord of the Rings, and also do some work on the Hobbit films too, that would kind of bring them more in line with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a clip of like the Balrog attack, and they have the extended edition Blu-ray and the 4K. I mean, I could tell they graded for HDR. Like the fire is much more
And-
orange,
and that's
like,
fine.
looks
That
great,
doesn't
and I'm
bother me.
totally fine with that. I did not see any differences that jumped out, that leapt out like, holy shit, they changed this, and I couldn't believe it. Outside
That's-
of this one example I've talked about, I haven't seen the 4Ks yet.
Yeah, I haven't
Sorry,
seen 'em yet.
they're too damn expensive, and I've heard there's a better
Well,
set coming.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a better set coming, so I'm waiting. But we all complain, or at least I complain. And a lot of people complain that we can't get the original versions of the Star Wars films. I want the version of the Star Wars film where you can see the box around the TIE fighters. That's the version that originally came out. That's how I want to see it. But you can't get him. So looking at what he's doing with these new movies, it's kind of the same thing. Updating the CGI to make it look better in 4K. Well, that's kind of the same thing to me.
I haven't heard it was updating. I heard it was like smoothing edges.
Well,
to make-
That's still an update.
it is.
They're not redoing it. They're kind of basically, when you take these models and blow it up to 4K, all of a sudden you can see jagged lines.
Mhm.
So they're kind of just
Yeah, I can't decide how I feel about that.
until I
But-
see it. I mean,
Yeah, I saw
posted-
that. I looked at that clip really quickly.
Yeah,
and
it's drastically different.
yeah. I don't. It is weird. I have to see the movie.
You need context.
Yeah,
Nico just wants an excuse to watch Lord of the Rings again.
I
He
do
doesn't
want
need
an
an
excuse to watch Lord of the Rings again. I'm fine with that.
I was going to say,
I would-
He doesn't need an excuse, but
I would be in the IMAX if we weren't in a freaking pandemic.
if you just had your freaking vaccine.
Yeah. Not all of
So-
us got to
but-
be fortunate trials.
Exactly. But Tina, I witnessed and recorded for posterity your commitment to suffer through all the
Yeah.
viewings of
oh,
Lord
there
of
was
the
no. I didn't say I would suffer through them because it's Lord of the Rings. Why? There's no suffering except for the spider scenes. But I said I wouldn't interrupt.
That's suffering. That's suffering. Come on, a little bit.
Yeah.
Are we talking extended edition? Because that's 4 hours of non-interrupted.
So, by the way, these IMAX
I was
releases
the only
are
one out of our group to sit through all of Endgame without going to the restroom,
I did
and
that.
I had
I
a
didn't.
large Coke.
I didn't use the restroom.
So
I didn't. I made it to the end. I almost died. I literally
nah,
almost
I didn't
died.
even feel a thing. I didn't have to go afterwards. Like
Mm.
matter of
I ran to the bathroom at the end. I'm not gonna lie.
I know you did.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean,
Okay.
Let's.
by the way, the Lord of the
So-
Rings IMAX stuff is based on the website, theatrical only.
Thank God.
That's
Yeah.
That's what you want in the theater. You know,
Yeah.
at home, the extended edition. Okay. In the
I
theater.
have to agree with you because I did see Fellowship extended in the theater, and there is, surprise, surprise, no intermission,
Mhm.
and it needs one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
long time.
That movie would like. I joke about how when people post there's a meme that goes around the internet of like, I'm so old I remember Titanic having to be on 2 VHSs, and I'm like, bitch, please, I still have to have 2 Blu-rays for each Lord of the Rings movie.
that's mainly
Titanic
for
is-
compression.
The copy
Yeah.
of Titanic
But it is
I
what it
have
is.
on 2 DVDs.
Yeah, but
Oh.
it's also like, even like the thing could fit on a Blu-ray too, and it's probably going to be the same in this set. I don't have it yet either, but it does make an intermission technically, just because
Yeah.
you have to change to the disc.
You got to switch. Yeah.
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 All right. Zach, you got a story.
All right. Well,
Well,
to the
Well,
sadness of, I would think probably everyone here, Cloverfield 4 is officially moving forward with Bad Robot, J.J. Abrams, or excuse me, J.J. Abrams' banner
J.J. Abrams, yeah.
company. It is believed that Matt Reeves will not have involvement in the project, though someone close to him will be writing it. Abrams has tapped Joe Barton to write Cloverfield 4, who's just announced the new showrunner on the Reeves' The Batman spinoff, which is about the GCPD. So, not actually Batman, just the police department.
so
The
in other
upcoming-
words, it'll be another like boring show.
Yeah, so 2016's 10 Cloverfield Lane was a major departure from the original Cloverfield, and guess what? It was awesome, and everything was great until
Till that ending.
till okay, well, the ending is not the worst part of this whole Cloverfield thing, let me tell you, because in 2018, Super Bowl Sunday, I'll never forget it. Cloverfield Paradox came out.
Oh my
And we're
God.
talking the highest of highs of hype to the thundering lows of disappointment within a 2-hour time period.
I repress the memory of watching that movie.
I don't. I remember
It's
it.
so
I do
bad.
too. Well,
I mean,
what
it's
was so
believed Cloverfield
painful?
4 will go in line with the 2008 movie, but man, after Paradox, I really don't give a shit anymore.
Well, I would give more of a like. I'm glad that Bad Robot is back doing it, but I don't know.
Did
Like
they
I'm
not
looking.
do Paradox?
Well, I don't.
They did.
They did.
Yeah, yeah, I thought
Um,
because I mean the whole thing is like a J.J. Abrams thing, so I figured it was Bad Robot the whole time. You know what? 2 out of 3 is not bad. Like
2 out of 3 is not bad because both
like
the first two are great.
yeah, Cloverfield
One
is
and the third
fine.
out of 3 isn't bad.
I
I just
take
hated the
Cloverfield-
ending for Cloverfield Lane. I hated it.
I loved the ending of that. You
Yeah, I
kidding
don't-
me?
I don't have
If
that.
she walked out and it just ended right there with it being nothing, I'd be like, oh, okay.
I love the ending because that's actually what tied them together.
Yeah.
Well, and plus it changed that whole like character dynamic. I loved it.
Yeah, he was right.
He was right. Yeah, exactly. He was a psycho, but he was right. So I'm looking at Joe Barton, like the person that they've tapped to write this thing, and I'm only going to say one thing, and it is that he wrote the Troy movie, Fall of a City. Oh, this is a TV series. The Ritual. Like, there's a lot of stuff in here. Humans, Cuffs, TV thing. There's nothing here that looks
Promising.
yeah, it's all TV stuff. He's a TV writer, which doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It's just there's no good TV here. Nothing that
Nothing's
yeah.
jumping out at me.
Well, he's got a couple of things that are in production too. He did this thing Invasion that's still in post production, whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence, and it's sad because the first two were great. Somebody could do another good story in that universe, and it would be cool.
I mean, does anybody care? Well, no one cares about the characters from the first film.
No.
I mean, the monster is kind of.
I remember when I went to go see Cloverfield, the first one, I was on a date. It wasn't actually with Nico. This was before Nico and I got together. And my date got motion sick because of the shaky cam.
I also went on a date to go see Cloverfield, not with Nico either. And actually, technically, it was with Nico.
I was about to say you were there.
I know.
So it was.
Yeah.
I went on like a Friday night, and I was like one of 3 people in the theater, and it was fucking loud.
But that's how I knew that guy was not cut out for it. Because if you can't stand shaky cam footage, found footage stuff, you're not for me.
Yeah. Well, that's a very funny distinction. I'm glad Nico can make it through that stuff.
Yeah, I never felt sick, but I just remember it being.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
So loud.
So I think it was like the perfect length. Like I think had it been longer, I would have started feeling motion sickness, but it wrapped up around the time when it's like, okay, I'm maybe starting to feel something now. Oh, good, end credits.
I feel like now because of this, I want to rewatch the first two. I think it would be fun to watch them back to back. Yeah, I think that's going to happen soon. That's a thing that should happen. I'm going to pretend there is no third one because in my world there isn't a third one.
Okay. Let's pretend there's a third one. You know, it'd be cool if they had a third film.
What's that?
If there was this like cataclysmic moment in the film where like a big event happens, and then you could pop in the first film, and like when this cataclysmic event happens, the like main thing in the first film, like the monster appears, kind of happens. That'd be cool if that was perfectly synced up.
That's a lot.
But it's a shame because the third film doesn't exist, so that obviously wouldn't happen.
You know, it would be really cool if in the third film, they take a giant ape from an island in the South Pacific and make it fight the monster.
That sounds really fucking lame.
And then it would be cool if they did that and then somehow it won a Golden Globe.
So he says
Please
this
don't.
after we finally watched Kong Skull Island last weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, yeah, we
How'd that go?
I liked it.
I
It was
liked
fun.
it.
Yeah.
I told you it's not bad.
I think of the monster, like Godzilla, Kong, Godzilla, King of Monsters, like
Wait,
of
what's
those
happening?
three new kaiju films, I think it's probably the best one. Like there were things I like in a lot in the 2014 Godzilla movie, but overall, overall quality of the film, I think Skull Island. Hey, also John Goodman.
Yeah. Also,
that
John
and
Goodman.
we
Well-
kept making so many Marvel jokes throughout that entire movie.
Yeah, you got Samuel L. Jackson, Tom
Mhm.
Hiddleston,
Brie
Larson,
Larson.
Well, and you
yeah.
even have John C. Riley.
John C. Reilly's
Yeah.
in the Nova Corps. Yeah.
Mhm. And I
He was
liked
by
him.
far my favorite part of the
He was the
movie.
best part. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
the best part. But we were talking about the CG last week, and the CG in Kong Skull Island is better than the CG in either of the Godzilla movies.
Yeah, it looks
And
good.
we both picked up on the whole when they said, "Oh, Kong's still growing." It's like because in the movie he's smaller than what he would be if he needed to fight Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that they padded that in there of he's still growing. So
Yeah.
yes, he's gonna be bigger.
Yeah,
It's gonna
yeah,
be
they
huge.
were definitely like set building for the future. It was like, in case we ever have Kong fight Godzilla, and Godzilla's likely going to be bigger, we need a line in here to explain this away.
Yeah. See, I'm glad you guys saw it. It's not bad, and it looks pretty good in 4K too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean that I have
All
the Blu-ray 4K combo, so
Okay,
all right.
cool.
So, moving on, the 78th annual Golden Globe Award nominations have been announced. Netflix is dominating the competition with 42 total nominations for its movies and shows, including Mank, The Trial of the Chicago 7, Queen's Gambit. Amazon has 10, as does Hulu as well. This year's ceremony will air live on February 28th at 5 p.m. Pacific time on NBC, with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosting. Now, I'm not going to go over the full list of nominations because, dear
There's a
Lord,
lot.
the Golden Globes are a lot. But I'll hit movies, the best movies and best television though.
Perfect.
Best motion picture for musical or comedy, we've got Borat's subsequent movie film from Amazon, Hamilton from Walt Disney, Palm Springs, Neon, aired on Hulu, music from Vertical Entertainment that I'm not familiar with, and The Prom from Netflix.
Is that all?
That's for music and comedy.
Anybody have a guess?
Oh, I'm
Which one
sorry,
it'll
what
be?
was the question?
Which
Which one do you think will win?
For which one?
Music and comedy. It's a pretty clear pick for me.
Are we talking motion picture or TV?
Oh, okay. Let me read the list again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find it here.
That was Borat, subsequent movie film, Hamilton, Palm Springs, music, and The Prom.
Probably Hamilton.
I was about to say it's probably going to be Hamilton.
If it's not Hamilton, it'll be Palm Springs.
Yeah.
It'll be one
I'm
of
in
those
that
two.
camp. Yeah, I'm in that camp.
Just like I can guarantee you, the one that Chadwick Boseman is nominated for, the one where he plays in.
That is actually not on this list for a nomination for any film. I was the jump in the gun.
Best
so
actor in a motion picture drama, Chadwick Boseman for
yeah,
Ma Rainey's
I
Black
was
Bottom.
going to jump. I was going to jump the gun since you mentioned that. Best actor in a motion picture drama, Chadwick Boseman gets a posthumous nomination for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The movie itself not nominated, but he is nominated for it.
Mhm.
Best motion pictures, though, speaking of which, in the drama category are The Father from Sony, Mank from Netflix, Nomadland from Searchlight, Promising Young Woman from Focus, and The Trial of the Chicago 7 from Netflix.
Calling it Nomadland.
I think it should be Nomadland. It possibly could be Promising Young Woman.
It's getting so much hype, and because it's
It deserves it.
Okay, I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound pretentious, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
But if I had to look at it on the surface level of what it is, it's Frances McDormand, old lady, boomer, crowd.
Actually,
I'm getting vibes again from like it's a pretentious looking movie. And I say that not because I've seen it, I haven't even seen a trailer about it, but because when this thing gets so much hype from every critic, I just go, oh, let me guess. It's like it's you know how like
I think
Alan
I
would
think the
somewhat you know
I
when
think the
Alan would
book.
complain about like the Oscars and their nominations and how
Yeah.
they're politically motivated. That's what I see here, having not
I
seen
don't.
the film.
I
You
literally
can see
don't.
it in like a couple of weeks when it hits Hulu.
I literally don't see that. Um, and to stick the boomer tag on it just because it has a woman who's older and it is kind of elitist in and of itself. Fact
Well,
is, it's a
Zach,
Wait,
great
hold
movie.
on. The elitist saying something elitist? Whoa.
Yeah, I'm gonna say you got no room to call something elitist.
Zach,
If
it
it
looks
does
like
win,
you're drinking soy sauce.
Oh,
it
it's
kind of
tea.
does.
It's tea.
It kind of does look like a soy sauce bottle.
Well, sometimes I'm a little salty.
Sometimes.
This explains a lot.
I think it could win. I think also Promising Young Woman could win. Not because it is the best movie in this list, but maybe that one I think could be a little more political. But it's also a good movie. So
I will say the two that I'm invested in are Best Original Song for a Motion Picture, which are Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah, Hear My Voice from The Trial of the Chicago Seven, IOC from The Life Ahead, Tigress and Tweed from The United States versus Billie Holiday, and Speak Now from One Night in Miami. I really want either Speak Now or Tigress and Tweed. I want one of those to win because I just saw a little clip of the song from United States versus Billie Holiday, and it's beautiful. And then the other one is Best Motion Picture Animated, which has The Croods: A New Age from Universal, Onward and Soul from Walt Disney, Wolf Walkers, which I haven't seen, from a studio called
Goddamn,
Cartoon
see
Saloon,
that.
and Over the Moon, which, if you remember, was on my top 10 list.
So I think the interesting ones are best television series for music, comedy, and drama.
yeah,
And the reason is okay. So best television series, music or comedy: Emily in Paris, Netflix; Flight
Mhm.
Attendant, HBO Max; The Great, Hulu; Schitt's Creek, CBC; Ted Lasso, Apple TV Plus.
that's
So
a
and it,
weird spread because the Flight Attendant is not a straight up comedy as something like Ted Lasso or Schitt's Creek.
and then in drama we have The Crown, Netflix; Lovecraft Country, HBO Max; Mandalorian, Disney Plus; Ozark, Netflix; and Ratchet, Netflix. So very little channel-based programming on
Yeah,
here.
it's all streaming stuff.
Yeah,
But the
pretty
fact
much.
is, and see, this is where my argument switches is film wise, there's not shit
Yeah.
streaming that out there that compares to what I would see in the theater. But streaming like series wise, the streaming services are kind of owning TV.
Yeah,
Like,
and this is a year where television definitely could have shined, and it did it, especially in streaming, because like you're right, movie theaters all had to shut down, and while production had to shut down for good bits for television, stuff that was already in the can still got pushed on streaming, and the networks and cable channels did not really have anything to compete on this front, and this is just showing that off.
well, and see, that's what's really funny because if you had looked at any network TV, and because we have an old lady here in the house, at this house, we have network TV on quite a bit. They weren't ready for the pandemic. They went to game shows. Like they were pulling stuff from the game show network and showing it on regular nighttime TV. So they were doomed. I actually think HBO was in a better position, and then we see that with Lovecraft Country. But they HBO straddles that line between what streaming does and traditional network TV.
Well, I mean that makes sense too because that's what Netflix was doing. Like Netflix's goal was to copy HBO's original programming content, that level of quality. And I mean, HBO is still HBO, and while HBO Max has a bevy of problems that we've discussed multiple times on the show,
Yeah,
Lovecraft Country is still a well-produced show. Flight Attendant is a well-produced show. I mean, they are putting out quality content.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I had this weird, scary feeling that Netflix is gonna like go home with a lot of shit this year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just by quantity, like I said, they have 42 total nominations.
I swear to God, if
Crazy.
Jared Leto wins for
Stole
the
my.
little things, I'm going to scream.
I can't believe he's nominated for the little things.
I was literally
Yes.
about to say, hey, Steve, you know what my favorite nomination is?
Mm.
Best actor in a supporting role, Jared Leto.
Okay, now you got to tell me who else is nominated, because for the love of God, there's got to be something better.
Sacha Baron Cohen, Trial of Chicago 7, Daniel Kaluuya, Judas and the Black Messiah, Bill Murray on the Rocks, and Leslie
Odom
Odom
Jr. for One Night in Miami.
Sacha
Oh
Baron
yeah,
Cohen
because he
should win
plays
that.
Sam
He plays Sam Cooke. Yeah.
Cook.
You know my
Or
honest,
that one.
my honest favorite nomination. I can't find it now. There it is. Best actress in a motion picture comedy or musical.
Yeah.
Maria Bakalova. Like
Yeah.
the girl, the lady that played his daughter.
Wait, what are we
She
talking
should win
about?
that award.
Wait, the lady that played whose daughter?
Borat.
Oh, see, you got to say it. I don't know what movie we're talking about.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In Borat, yeah. The chick that played his daughter in Borat, she should win. The level of balls that girl has for the whole film.
Is she the one that was in the scene with Giuliani?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Wow.
Not just for that scene, but I'm talking like the rest of the movie.
I guess I got to watch it.
Oh, have you not seen it?
No. I couldn't care. And that's the problem. I'm sure it's funny. Everybody says it is. I just haven't been able to care. I'll get there.
The last 10 minutes is like a chef's kiss.
Okay. I guess I'm going to have to look at it. I'm going to get there. I'll put that on the back burner right there beside In and of Itself, which is another thing I couldn't care about.
You said you were going to watch like at least 50
I know.
minutes of it.
I did.
Pussy ass bitch.
Yeah, I didn't. I couldn't care.
I do have a question about one of them for Best
Yep.
Motion Picture of a foreign language.
Yeah.
La Llorona is on there from Shudder. That's not the one that's connected to the Conjuring universe, is it?
No.
Okay, I was about to say that came out a while ago.
No, I saw that.
No, that movie's called The Curse of La Llorona.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that in the banner thing for Shudder. I haven't looked at it, but it's not popping.
I mean, I love the Legend of La Llorona, so I'm always down to watch that. I also want to see Minari from A24.
Man,
Yeah, I hear really good things.
Yeah,
I
I've
want to see
heard
that
that one's
too.
pretty good.
Yeah,
They're doing virtual screenings on that, by the way.
I saw that. Yeah. All right. Did you have any others of note that you saw in the list?
No,
Nico?
there's a lot. You can go to Golden Globes website or all sorts of news websites and see I like the Golden Globes website too, because if you go there, it has all the nominations, but it also has down the bottom breaks it down by distributor. So you can see like
that's pretty cool.
nominations by motion picture.
Oh wait, so it has stats?
Yes, it has stats.
Yes!
So nominations by motion picture distributor, Netflix leads that by 22. Nominations by television distributor, Netflix leads that with 20. So that's why.
My gosh.
That's where you get the 42.
Yeah.
Then you also have nominations by motion picture. Mank is winning that one with 6 total across the film. Nominations by television series, The Crown is leading that with 6. So that is actually a pretty neat statistic.
That is really neat.
Yeah, that speaks to the data analyst in me.
Right. I'm surprised Mank is just nominated for so much. I hear it's flawed. Like that it's not as good as.
Okay, I like David Fincher.
I do too.
I actually really like Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
I sat down to watch Mank and went, this sound design is fucking annoying.
Oh, here we
And
go.
also, Well, it's like it's supposed to like sound like an old film that they actually found in the 50s, which means that it's like it's supposed to be mono.
It's supposed to be mono and have like a kind of a
What-
crackle
That
to it.
crackle.
No, no,
yeah.
no. The crackle is fine. What they've done is they've taken a mono audio sound and then given it a 5-1 audio treatment. So it sounds like you're in this echoey auditorium watching it.
So is it playing the same, like through all the speakers?
It's not playing the same, but it's got this echo. Again, like you're in an auditorium, and I'm like, cut this shit out. I just give me the sound in the center channel like it's supposed to be.
So this is the
cut
super.
this.
This is the super nerdiness that is Zach
Well,
and
it's
I
not
during
just
the week,
that. It's
because
not ju-
we've been talking about sound design for 2 days, like in text message.
it's not just that, but it at some points it's hard to hear what they're saying because of that audio design.
Well,
It's
then
not-
I guess it shouldn't be nominated for an audio award then.
It should not. But outside of that, I thought it was really boring and turned it off like 30 minutes in.
That's what I keep hearing.
Yeah. I mean, some people just jizz over this film. I am not one of them.
So when is it airing, Nico?
I believe it was the 28th is what that said. Go back.
February
yeah,
28th?
the 28th. So end of the month.
All right. Then that means I'll know all the winners on the 29th when I watch the 5-minute recap on YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this isn't an appointment viewing for me.
Exactly. All right, let's hit some TV. We actually have a TV story here from Tina.
Well, first, do we want to discuss WandaVision or go? straight
Yeah,
into
let's
story?
discuss WandaVision first.
Because Nico and I have been on board since pretty much episode 1. You came on board with this last episode.
Yeah, I was literally not hating, but on the verge of hating the show because I just wasn't. I was not digging this aesthetic.
It was a chore. It was a awful chore.
Well, and it's because it felt like a gimmick that had been stretched, like a single, joke that had been stretched across 3 episodes of the show. But finally, with this new episode, shit finally got real. Spoilers if anybody's watching right now, because
Spoilers.
I mean, and any of us who've been kind of reading these comics for years are not as surprised about what's happening. It just, to me, took too long for it to actually happen. Nico, you want to give us a feel for what this episode was?
Sure. Well, it's basically what has been happening in the real world as we've been watching the WandaVision sitcom-y episodes through the 50s, 60s, 70s. We find out the character Geraldine that was in the city is Monica Rambeau, a Marvel character. Look up that. That's great. But her incarnation in the MCU basically picks up with her getting involved in investigating this mysterious town that popped out of nowhere, and with an organization called Sword, and it basically she gets absorbed into the town, which is how we see her in the earlier episodes. And you basically see everyone trying to figure out what's going on in this bubble sitcom world. It's really neat and fascinating.
They don't find out about the bubble sitcom part until they bring in Darcy Lewis, who
Kat Dennings, who is
Thor.
from Thor 1 and
Finally,
2.
she comes back.
I know.
Yeah.
I was so excited when they showed her, and I was like, "Are you serious? I love my Kat Dennings."
Yeah, I was happy to see her back as well. And this
Dr.
episode
Lewis, by the way, she got her.
finally specifically defined where this show sits in the MCU, like time period wise. I mean, we knew that this was after Endgame, but you get a hard in on the time because of how Rambo's backstory is shown.
Yeah.
You see
Again,
her-
spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah, you see her recover from the snap.
I
Which
I
is
think it
pretty-
I think it does a really good.
I loved that part. Sorry, Nico.
Oh no!
Keep it
I
going.
was going to say that. I was trying to go back and forth on how much I wanted to discuss that.
I said
opening
spoilers.
bit.
No, I'm going all in.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead.
fair.
No,
But-
I loved that aspect where they're showing the chaos. Like you Spider-Man Far From Home made it seem like popped
Oh,
in.
ha,
Okay, everything's
ha.
fine.
Yeah.
No, this
Mhm.
is like absolute chaos, and I loved that aspect.
Yeah, because it's not like the Avengers when they, wished everyone back and did the snap that they told the world, hey, by the way, everyone's going to be back right now. So it's chaotic when the Monica character and everyone around her that was snapped away, the blip, starts coming back around all these other people who did not expect it. It takes place in a hospital where she finds out her mother has
And has been passed for a long time.
passed
Yeah,
like
she was
3 years ago.
originally in the hospital visiting her mom after her mom had cancer removal surgery, and she encounters her mom's doctor, and she's like, "Where's my mom?" And she goes, "Oh, well, your mom died." She goes, "No, the surgery went fine. Like your mom died 3 years ago."
Yeah.
Which you
So
find out if you're not familiar with the Rambo last name. If you remember Captain Marvel.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Captain Marvel that she played, honestly, is the one that I spent the most time with growing up.
Yeah,
Because I
Monica Rambeau
love
is
that
a Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
that era of Avengers was my primo time of reading the comics, and I loved that character. I loved her power, even though it was in a weird kind of way, kind of like um, the Scarlet Witch's power, where it just seemed like she could always turn into any kind of light she needed to turn into. But still, I loved it and love that character. So I'm really hoping that they do that character with her. That would be amazing.
So
Yeah.
I think one of the things I really liked about this episode is it highlighted how much the MCU has developed its own supporting cast of characters outside of just
Mm-hmm.
the general tights and flights. So we know that like Randall Park's character, the Agent Wu, who shows up, was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. So you
Yep.
have this side character from one set of movie, and then you have Darcy.
He was also in some of the one shots, right? Wasn't
I
Agent
don't,
Wu in like one or two of the one shots?
I don't think he was
I
because
don't
he wasn't a
remember.
Shield agent.
No.
No.
I
Okay.
mean, he might have been, but I can't remember.
But then you also have Kat Dennings' character coming in from the Thor movies, who we haven't seen since Thor 2.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a really neat way to tie this not that the show really needed additional tying into the greater MCU because it features two Avengers, but it really does kind of show that this is a living, developing world, and these other characters are still doing things and staying
Yeah,
involved.
it grounds it in a weird way. Like there's these people exist. Just they weren't just there for a minute for a joke or something. They're back and they've been doing things and having an impact this whole
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
I love that too.
It's
Uh,
it's the strong points of the comics. It's like this is
Mhm.
what made Marvel Comics in the 60s a thing. It's because all of these were interconnected.
Yeah, and this is what they have did then and have always done in your comics because you'll see a small side character that will be in Thor or something and then pop up for some reason in Daredevil or
Yeah.
the Avengers or whatever. And you had that a lot with Spider-Man and Daredevil in particular. You would have
Yep.
different Kingpin and Night Nurse and whatever pop up across those books. And the Night Nurse was a small character for a long time. She became much more relevant as her character grew. But I love it. That part I'm with you. I really do love.
And
Now, one thing that's interesting in this is we got to see in episode 3 when we see Monica Rambeau reference Ultron, and then there's a blip, basically a rewind, and it's just erased out of the episode. We got to see what happened in that space, and
yeah.
it was something I was really curious about, is because they're riffing on a couple of different stories, like Marvel stories with this series. One of those is House of M. So I was wondering how much knowledge Wanda has of what she's doing. And
we
this
get it answered.
thing, this thing showed that she may still be under some control by somebody like Mephisto or someone like that, but she knows to some degree exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, she
And-
knows that she has the control to make it how she wants.
I really
Now,
liked
I
the
will say,
go ahead.
yeah, I think Nico and I are probably going to say the same thing, actually.
Okay, so I really liked the Vision when you got to see the grayed out how we saw Vision in the end of Infinity War, missing the stone in his head. When we first notice it, he's in the background, blurred
Kind of
because it's
blurred.
background, but
Mhm.
walking. And I noticed in the shot, I was like, wait a moment, he's gray.
And
And
I was like, wait, I didn't see that.
the
Rewind
spot
it.
on his head is bigger. I think that's dead Vision. That's
is
like a
dead.
zombie.
Yeah.
And then a moment later, you have it just the camera centers on him, and you see him plain and in
And
focus.
it's, man, my skin crawled when it showed him like
Zombie
that.
Vision is cool.
Zombie Vision. Yeah.
Which makes me really want Zombie Marvel now. But no,
hey,
yeah,
that's a good comic book
That's
series.
a thing.
that would
Mhm.
that shot alone was like, okay, I don't care what happens the rest of the season. I need to find out what's happening. Like, I need to find out what's happening with Vision.
Well, it gives agency and urgency to like actually want to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
now
the
I
show
will. Now I'm ready to stick with the gimmick as they continue it, whatever, because I have some investment in what's the real story. Yeah.
I think they planned it really well. They gave you enough episodes to kind of get the gimmick really solidified, and then
I
it's
don't
like, all
know.
right, this is at
Well, I
this is at
also-
the point, because I think you're right. I think more people would have probably started bailing had this one followed that same premise. So I think they like carried it to where they thought would be a breaking point or something.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's like,
they
all right,
they stayed true with the first two episodes. They gave us a little taste in the third episode, and then the fourth episode was when they were like, okay, here's the dish.
I
yeah.
don't know.
Finally.
I almost think.
Been sitting here waiting at this restaurant for an hour trying to get food.
Yeah.
But
I've
I
been
also
seeing it-
think
I've-
we're also a little spoiled, especially with like streaming options, how it is now. That
Mhm.
The Mandalorian helped a little bit to get out of that, where we're so used to seeing a cohesive storyline because we binge watched a series like immediately. So it's really, and honestly, it's not the norm anymore to have like little snippets of it. So I think that's another reason why a lot of people were like, okay, get to it, because we used to have that wait a week as we were growing up, as we were, you know, watching shows and stuff like that. But now with streaming, we get that binge culture where we don't have to wait. We can
Well,
watch
okay, so I would go on the other side of the coin to that. I would say that if we had the entire series in one chunk, these first three would have been easier to get through because you would have just click through them. But if you're going to give me an episode and make me wait a week till the next episode, you've got to be what they always called, starting with Sopranos and Lost, a water cooler show, where there's just so many cool things to talk about to keep you hyped till the next week. Whereas the first episode was cute, but there was nothing that mattered there. The second episode, again, was cute. One little thing mattered. I think, and from reading the interviews with Kevin Feige and I forget his name now, the showrunner, they were really nervous about that. And the showrunner actually came out and said, I flat out, he was nervous about the length of time. I think in retrospect, they would have maybe pushed it in episode 3 instead of episode 4. But
Or
it
just
works.
trim them
It works
down.
now.
Like really, you could
Well-
trim these like episodes down. You could.
You know,
You
if
could
you're
combine
gonna,
episode 1 and 2 into like one 20-minute episode.
you could, you know, or you could own the whole like sitcom thing if you're gonna do it and make them 18 minutes each, which is, you know, sitcom length. After
That's
commercials.
already what they are.
Are they?
A
They
little
felt
bit longer.
I was
They're
gonna
a
say
little bit
they felt
longer. They're like
And then
Oh, okay.
the weird 10 minutes of credits at the end of each one is bizarre.
Like I get you need to like I guess credit all the translations and everything, but like
I
Do
do
you?
like. Well, I don't think we talked about it. I like the ending credits. Like I think they're
Yeah.
well designed. Like
oh
the-
no, I'm talking like post that one.
Oh yeah, I
and
know, I know what you mean.
still-
But
Yeah.
but the actual like ending credits, I think look pretty. I like Marvel in general does pretty good.
Yeah, the
ending
the
credits.
RGB
They usually
credits
do.
I like. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of people, like I've been reading different Facebook groups and stuff, just sort of feeling out people talking about this, and a lot of people have been freaking out that, you know, how dare they? They're going to make you know, this Wanda turn into a villain, blah blah blah. I don't think that's the case at all.
Yeah.
I think she's being
Um,
used.
They could.
I think so. I think
They
so
have
too.
done. She has been a villain before, and honestly, I would love that. I wish they would, because I think it would be amazing character arc for her. But I agree. She's either it's a combination of things, it's more of the House of M kind of thing. The tragedy dealing with grief and lost control of her powers kind of thing. Or I like some of the stuff I've been reading about Mephisto maybe, or someone like that controlling her.
I just want to say I'm happy because I got my Wiccan officially. I got Billy. I got Tommy.
Yep.
I mean, I
Well,
would be curious to explain, if she is being used, how hell she got one, because she was dusted. Well,
who was dusted?
no, she came back during
Yeah,
that
she
final
came back
This is
from
fight.
the
this is
snap.
post in game.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. Because I was like, oh yeah, she is at the end of the battle. So anything I was about to say is just moot.
Yeah. You took
Mhm.
everything from me. I don't even know who you are.
Mhm.
So
Oh
That's
yeah,
a great-
that is her saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to
She-
rewatch that movie. I think I've only done it once.
We
Well,
just rewatched it last
yeah,
week.
Yeah.
we just
Well,
rewatched it.
I've been thinking about just binging them. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it.
I kind of want to do a road because along with my the sushi bowl or sushi Super Bowl memories, I've also been having our Road to Infinity War memories popping up, and I'm like, man,
Mhm.
I kind of want to do that again.
I think
Oh, that was so much.
Like, I've been trying to decide, when Eternals comes out, what grouping of movies we should watch leading up to Eternals, and I feel like it's almost a Guardians of the Galaxy kind of thing more than it is
I was about
Avengers.
to say like both Guardians.
Yeah,
I don't know how spacey it's going to be because Eternals are definitely very. It's very sci-fi-y, but
yeah.
still
Well, that's the only reason I say
Earth-based.
that. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to see
Captain
a trailer
Marvel.
and see.
Yeah.
Maybe Captain
Yeah.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
think it's
sad
too.
because I don't think Captain Marvel is very good.
I think it's too early to pick. I think we need trailers to kind of judge what other movies it might be more similar
Speaking
to.
of trailers, real quick, we watched a really bad fan-made fake Hawkeye trailer. I mean, it was using clips of Jeremy Renner from Tagged.
That's
Bad.
hilarious.
It was funny. It was bad.
So it was no Deadpool fan film.
No.
Wasn't that
No.
one? Or the Batman fan film was actually really good. All right, so let's hit
All
the
right.
stories.
Well, speaking of Disney and Marvel and all of that good stuff, Disney is adding another TV show to its already stacked slate of Marvel content in development for Disney Plus. On Monday, the company announced that it had struck a 5-year deal with Black Panther director Ryan Coogler and Proximity Media to create television programming exclusively for Disney. As part of that deal, Coogler will create a series set in Wakanda, which is the fictional African country home to Black Panther. There are now nearly a dozen Marvel shows in the works for the streaming service. The deal also enabled Coogler's company to develop television programs for other divisions within Disney. Coogler's Black Panther not only excelled at the global box office, hauling in $1.3 billion worldwide, it was also the first superhero movie to earn a Best Picture nomination ever. The director, known for Fruitvale Station and Creed, was set to begin shooting a sequel to Black Panther in March, but filming was sidelined after the sudden and unexpected death of star Chadwick Boseman, who played the title character. Boseman, 43, had been battling colon cancer for 4 years, but had kept his diagnosis hidden from the public. Now, the sequel is set to begin shooting in Atlanta in July, with Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke, whoop whoop, and Angela Bassett all expected to reprise their roles. So it is moving forward still.
So I have a weird thought about this. Is one, I think there is a lot of room for a Wakanda TV series. I think it maybe could be better than the movie, to be honest.
I honestly would love to see a Wakanda TV series, kind of like a Warehouse 13, where they're basing it off of like Wakandan technology that somehow gets out into the world, and so they have to.
I don't want them to do
That's
that.
what I kind of want.
Well, the reason I don't want them to do that is because we kind of have already had that with all of the stuff from the first Avengers, where Shield agents have been going around trying to collect all of the random. It was a big piece of the Spider-Man movie, the technology. So I kind of would. I get where you're going with it, but I really wouldn't want it to do that because we've kind of already been there.
I don't really have a a thought process on what this show would be or what the movie would be. I'm still stumped on what they're doing with Black Panther after.
Ooh, or maybe like political, like tribal political.
That's
TV
what I
show.
think
That'd
it'll
be pretty
be.
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I think it'll be.
It's
With
going to be House of
M'Baku.
Cards, but in Wakanda.
Well,
I would
a
love
better
to
House
have-
of Cards than Phantom Menace. Just saying.
I would love to have as much screen time with Winston Duke as possible.
I
So-
like the cast. I want it to be well. I'm hoping for it to be good. It's just I still have a difficult idea of what they're going to do for Black Panther without Black Panther.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
the
problem
Black Panther moniker has been passed though. It's
Yeah,
been passed
and
down.
if they do that's fine. That answers that question. It's like,
And
oh,
I mean,
we have a
in
new
the
Black
comic,
Panther.
Shuri takes over Black
Shuri
Panther.
does take over. So
I hope they don't do that in this one. I would rather see.
How are they going to do that? Let's assume they do. The flowers are all gone.
yeah.
I mean, it's Shuri. She could synthesize the flowers.
No,
She's
they're
smart
gone.
enough.
They literally used all
So,
of it to make.
I
them-
would rather see if they're going to figure out a way to do it. I would rather see what's her name from Walking Dead take the role.
Lupita Nyong'o.
Oh, Michonne.
No, Michonne from Walking Dead to take it over because she's kind of a
yeah.
badass.
Yeah, I forget her name.
Shuri. Yeah, I forget her character name,
Okoye.
but Okoye. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's kind of a badass. She could play
She's
the
just a
role.
guard.
I know, but better that than
There's
Shuri.
no claim
'cause-
to the. Well, anyone can make.
well,
a
that
claim
and
to the
it'd be
throne,
hard for
whatever.
her to balance that and being the head of the Dora Milaje. So
Yeah, well, I mean, they're gonna have to change all of that stuff. But one weird thing that I kind of hope happens is a problem I had with Black Panther. I had a lot of problems with Black Panther, to be honest with you. Was I would love to see them actually build some sets. It felt like that entire Wakanda was on a green screen with no actual sets.
They had 3 sets. They had the throne room, they had the
Mhm.
waterfall, and then they had like a small little hallway of like the town, and that's it.
Yeah, and all of that stuff was CGI enhanced out the butt. Now, what could be cool is if they really build out their government. I would like to see more consistency.
I thought
in that.
M'Baku's throne room was a real set with all the
Well, I'm
hanging
sure-
It felt
stuff.
like a small ass set
Really small set
with
bunch
a
of CGI
shit
around
ton
it,
of blue screen around it.
which is what I'm pretty sure it was. So, but what would be cool is if they build some stuff out for the show and use it in the films too. That kind of continuity would be really cool, and would help the look of the movie. To be honest with you, now the one thing I do agree with what you're saying, Nico, is kind of like Chadwick Boseman was Black Panther. So whoever takes that moniker actor-wise has got big shoes to fill.
Yeah,
That's-
and so I'm just kind of curious what the project is. We don't really know anything plot wise on what
Mhm.
this show or the Black Panther 2 movie is going to be, other than it's still set in Wakanda, and it's like, okay, I hope to learn more. I generally am supportive of like everything Marvel Studios is doing.
Yeah.
Nothing's like concretely bombed as being just awful yet. So
No, I agree. I can't think of something. Well,
there are things you don't like. There
Yeah.
aren't things that are just quantifiably terrible yet.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
no Wonder Woman 84.
The only,
Yes,
yeah,
there's no
Yeah.
Wonder Woman 1984.
yeah. Even Thor: Dark World is better than Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, even the first Hulk movie is
Yeah.
better.
I was about to say the
than-
first Hulk movie for me is the bottom one.
It's pretty
And I
bad.
give that one a
mean-
lot of leeway because that's like the second.
Honestly, yeah. Honestly, if they could like remake the first Hulk movie and have Mark Ruffalo and like kind of tweak the script, it'd be better.
I mean, I still throw more dirt on like Iron Man 3 than I do the second Hulk film.
Oh, not
Iron Man
me.
3 was redeemed for me when they had the short "All Hail the King"
Yeah,
because that
I mean,
fixed a lot of my main issues.
Yeah,
with
but
Iron Man.
Yeah.
that's something outside of the film.
Yeah,
I
yeah, but
know.
it
I
it
agree with
is.
Zach on that point.
Yeah, it is. But
That's like
I-
saying I read a novelization of the book. It explains everything. It's like the
And I guess
film
it's-
is still fucked.
I guess it's kind of tolerance levels too, because I would rather watch Iron Man 3 than the first Ant-Man movie, and
Oh,
not because the Ant-Man movie is necessarily bad. It's just Robert Downey Jr.'s charisma and the fact that he's freaking Iron Man goes a long way for me versus Ant-Man, a character I don't care as much about.
And one of the charming things for me, at least, one of the charming things for Iron Man 3, despite how they screwed over the Mandalorian, is that you get to see Tony Stark being Tony Stark without being able to rely on that Iron Man suit.
You said Mandalorian.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
I caught that too.
Mandarin.
Don't be crossing the streams. Don't
like,
we learned from Ghostbusters what happens when you cross the streams.
No,
Only do it at the end, boss.
Again,
Yeah, true.
I had been waiting since Iron Man 1 when they slightly mentioned the 10 rings. I had been
you
wanting
see them for a second.
Mandarin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when Iron Man 3 was announced and we get that trailer and we start seeing the Mandarin speeches, I'm like, you can ask Nico, I was gung-ho, I was ready. I was like, let's sneak into the theater, steal the movie, I want to see it now.
Well, you're finally going to get it with Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shang-Chi's got it.
But the fact that, they kind of just, it's an actor and bullshit, that angered me so much. I hated Iron Man 3 for that. And then when they did the All Hail the King and they're doing the interview in the prison with the actor and it's like, you took my boss's name. He's upset about that. That's when I was like, okay, so the Mandarin is still a legit force.
He's still out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will give that credit for like fixing and what would otherwise be. It's like, well, that's fine, but it's its own thing. It doesn't count for the quality of Iron Man 3. It's like, well, you brought in an expectation to Iron Man 3 that wasn't native to the material itself.
Yeah.
It was a preconceived notion. So this other thing basically helped wipe away your preconceived notion, letting you watch Iron Man 3 with a different light, open, non-tainted view.
I need to watch it again. It's been a while.
Yeah.
But back onto the Black Panther, for me I feel like Black Panther was a film that was overshadowed by its cultural importance, because it is definitely culturally crucial and made a big impact in the superhero film genre. But if you take that away from the film, it is a middling film. There's it
needs like
there's a
more
lot
passes writing.
Yeah, there's a lot of real issues with the script and things, but that stuff could be filled out so interestingly in a TV series that I would be down to see, because it is
I'll admit, I think I saw Black Panther like 9 times in theater, but I also had Movie Pass. So.
Yeah, I saw it 3 times, and it was because of Movie Pass.
The halcyon days.
I saw it once. I was good.
I saw it with like 4 different groups of people though. Like everybody's like, "Hey, I haven't seen it yet." I was like,
at least
That's
when
what happened
I
with
saw,
Yeah.
at least when I saw Avengers 9 times in theaters, I paid those times.
I don't know how many times.
Yeah,
I
but
saw
a majority
Avengers.
of those
Oh
you
my
paid
God.
$1.50.
Yeah, that's true.
I saw Avengers once. That was good.
You are wrong, sir. But you are.
I don't think he is wrong. I think he has only seen it once, but
I've seen the Avengers twice.
He is
Okay, I guess he
wrong
was
in his
wrong.
decision making.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
true.
still stand by saying it is a mediocre film that accomplished the big idea of taking all these people and putting them together in one movie. I still think the movie itself is flawed as shit. And the more years that go by, the more people join my cause of it wasn't as good.
So this is the only reason, I will tell you this right now. The only reason people are joining your cause, and I haven't seen that many, but the only reason anybody is simply because Endgame, the last 2 are so good. It makes
they're actually good versus
no.
mediocre,
those are good,
middling film.
But the last 2 are exceptional, which kind of does
cinematography wise, directorially wise, writing.
I will give that. I will give that. I do think the Russos are better directors than Joss Whedon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon is a TV director.
Yeah.
He does
It
good
looks
TV.
like a fucking TV movie.
Well,
Yes.
there were limitations.
It's got a TV fucking aspect ratio, sir.
There's no point in us even arguing this because you are wrong.
I agree.
I walked out of Jurassic World going, what a piece of shit. And all you motherfuckers said, you're wrong, Zach. Years later, y'all are coming to my side.
Excuse
Fuck you!
me.
I love Jurassic World. I will
I
fight you.
was gonna say, Tina, to my
My
knowledge,
dino.
Nathan will
and
fight me on that
Nathan.
one. Yeah. Because he was like, but the
I-
IMAX was
I
so
got
good.
Blue on my side, bitch.
What I
Some of y'all
said is,
motherfuckers coming to my side, though.
what I said is there were some good sequences. So there were things that I liked in it, but I didn't think the movie was.
But speaking of Blue,
Yeah.
what's out on Blu-ray? Because we can go like for hours
Yeah,
talking about
you're
this.
right.
But what's on Blu-ray?
We're a little
Yeah.
going tonight.
Yeah. So on Blu-ray, if you want to pick up something, Let Him Go is out there. Finally, because I wanted to see that. Small Soldiers is out in new special edition. Host. This is I thought this was the Asian film, which is really good. That's The Host, though. This is something from Shudder.
Yeah, this is the Zoom horror movie.
Oh, I'm out.
I mean, it's a clever idea. It's 50 minutes long. It's got a few moments that I went, okay, I enjoy subtlety with my found footage films. Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, but that doesn't mean I'd really recommend it.
All right. Mouse Hunt is out in a new reissue edition. Shin Godzilla the movie is out. If you want to get that, Do the Right Thing is out in 4K, and Target has a exclusive steelbook.
So now we get the argument again of, do you go for Criterion or do you go for 4K?
Yeah, that's a good question. Now, my understanding is the comparisons are really close. That
I've heard that, yeah, they're really similar.
yeah, that if you've got the Criterion, stick with it. If you don't have either, then buy the 4K. That's what I'm understanding. Ladybugs is out. That is an old Rodney Dangerfield comedy, I think from the early 80s, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then something
He's
called
like the coach of a like kids soccer.
like a
team or
kid's,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Then the Silent Madness 3D. I don't know anything about that. And then the Last Blockbuster, which is probably the one that I'm going to buy from this list. It is a documentary about the Last Blockbuster.
I want to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is out this week, so I'm going to be looking for that to pick it up.
I wonder. I want to know who went for the renting out the Last Blockbuster for like the Airbnb night. I
would love to hear that too.
Did that.
My understanding is that the documentary covers the Last Blockbuster, how they rent and how they survived, and the culture around it and everything, all the way up to pandemic. Like the ending of the movie is sort of what they're doing to survive the pandemic. So it's a really recent movie. So I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it too.
Tell me something about funny books.
All right, this week's comic book of the week is IDW's Transformers Beast Wars. IDW is releasing a new Beast Wars title. IDW currently releases all the Transformers comics. It is the 25th anniversary of the Beast Wars spin-off franchise of the overall Transformers universe. The animated series, the fully CGI animated series, first premiered in 1996. Kind of remarkable at its time. It doesn't hold up all that well, but I still am fine with it. I think it helps that it's CGI robots mostly, and even animals, not people. So that kind of helps it last a little bit longer in terms of that uncanny valley or just odd early CGI feel. But yeah, Beast Wars the cartoon was particularly remarkable because it went pretty deep in adding lore to the Transformers mythology that wasn't really all that deep in the original 80s cartoon.
No,
but it did have a lot of reverence and with that series, and it still added in a lot of characters. They were pretty unique in personality, and I really enjoyed the cartoon. I didn't grow up as much with the 80s one as I did Beast Wars. So the first issue is put out by some of IDW's main Transformers people. I think it's worth a check out. So yeah, that's my book pick of the week.
You can see his full write-up on that, cover art and such over on CultureSmash.tv. So did you see the Marvel Heroes Reborn trailer? I think I shared it.
Yeah. So
It's a lot of people. I don't recognize a lot of those characters at all.
Well, some of them, that's the point. So
Yeah.
the Marvel is doing a series, an event later this year called Heroes Reborn. If you're an older comic book fan, you may be familiar with a previous Marvel event called Heroes Reborn in the late 90s that happened after some of their main heroes, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, were essentially wiped out and were recreated in a pocket universe and then merged back. It's honestly was not that great then. Current Marvel is taking that concept in a new direction instead of rebirthing these heroes again to just be themselves. Uh, Essentially reimagining the world as if the Avengers never happened, as if Tony Stark never became Iron Man, if they didn't gather together to fight Loki, if Cap was never found again, and it's basically what would happen to these other hero characters. What incarnation would they take now instead? So that's the rebirth. So you have some that are taking different forms. Like for instance, I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. The main one I remember is Doctor Doom finding the gem of Sidorak, the thing that makes the Juggernaut, and he becomes the Juggernaut while also being Doctor Doom. And I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this. And
I'll watch that.
It does that with a bunch of other stuff. MCU fans familiar with Agent Coulson from like the early films and then Agents of Shield. The comic book version of him, which came second, it was in the movie first, and then he jumped over to comics.
He's the Harley Quinn of Marvel.
Kind of, yeah. He is the president in this world, and in the place of the Avengers is the Squadron Supreme, which is essentially a Justice League ripoff that Marvel did. They're kind of like created heroes, but the way they're created is it's like we have our own Batman and our own Superman and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. It's basically like a what if story, but in a big event.
So I wonder, how much there's no way that the MCU, the cinematic universe, doesn't influence what happens in the comics now.
Oh, actually, yeah, a friend of mine posted on Twitter something that comic books, particularly like Marvel and DC, like superhero comic books, are at their best when they're reflecting pop culture, which is weird because for the past decade, like mainstream pop culture is comic book movies. So it's a weird feedback loop.
Well, I mean, the first time I really noticed it was after the first Iron Man came out. The comic book kind of got redesigned. I don't remember, the writer switched or something too, but it started to look more like storyboards, like film storyboards instead of, comic book art, which I actually liked it. I liked that look. But also in the old days when Marvel wanted to bring in some new characters, they would sneak them in through the Avengers, or a lot through the Avengers. That's where I saw the Black Knight for the first time. There was a character in the 80s and 90s called Star Fox that kind of popped up in the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. But you got to wonder if they're doing this and they're going to see if any of these new characters kind of stick and can make that transition over into film, because they're going to need some new blood.
Well, some of them are like crossover characters, like merges. Like there's a weird like kind of Scarlet Witch, Polaris mix thing. I forget which one that one is. I know like some of the teen heroes, like Miles Morales is in it, but not as Spider-Man. He's the Falcon in that incarnation. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan is another hero. Sam Alexander, the Teen Nova. There's basically a version of those three that are essentially the youth heroes of the Marvel universe right now, and but as different forms. So,
That's so
I don't
weird.
know if you're going to get that. Actually, I was thinking about this when you started talking. Is the event that it really reminds me the most of is actually the Age of Apocalypse. In the
Oh.
90s, there was this big X-Men event that took over all the X books for months, in which some event happened in the past that accidentally killed Charles Xavier, and Apocalypse somehow took over, and for the whole universe, the whole Marvel Earth is ruled by Apocalypse for the most part. All of the heroes all the X-Men that are radically different, and eventually they set it back. One character remembers everything, and it's Bishop, and he basically goes to Magneto that's running the X-Men now. It's like, hey, the world was better, we could fix it, we just have to reset time. Apparently, I believe Blade is that in this incarnation. Blade, who's been on the Avengers for the last year
That's
or
right.
so.
That's in the trailer, that he's the one who kind of knows what's happening. He's doing the narration basically in their promo trailer.
So Blade is somehow survived whatever event it is that went back in time and stopped the Avengers from happening. He is kind of been shunted over into this version of the future or the present. So it's very, now that I'm thinking about it more, talking about it, it's oddly disturbingly similar to Age of Apocalypse. So I guess we'll see how it works out.
Yeah. All right. But the one thing I could tell you is the trailer got me excited. And I haven't been excited about a big story arc in a while. So this is gonna be cool. It's May, right? If that happens.
I think it's this summer.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's bring this thing to an end. We've been going for a while.
Tina had something.
Oh, you had something else
in the chat? Yeah.
Oh, what did you have?
I have. Well, since we were going over funny books, I thought we'd also take a chance to go over some February upcoming releases for books.
Well, are you going to?
I got 4 that I want to recommend. I got The Removed by Brandon Hobson, which is contemporary fiction. It actually released yesterday. It's about a family gathers together to celebrate the Cherokee National Holiday and remember their teenage son who was killed by a police shooting. Then I have Kristen Hanna's The Four Winds, which is a historical fiction. It's releasing February 9th. I'm actually getting a copy with my Book of the Month subscription. During the Great Depression, as the Dust Bowl settles in, Elsa Martinelli must decide whether to stay and fight or head west to California. Then I have The Gilded Ones, which as soon as I can justify a purchase, I will. Coming out again February 9th. Instead of being an outcast, 16-year-old Decca decides to leave her village to join an elite band of powerfully magical girls to fight for the Emperor. And then for those who are fans of the Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, the 4th installment is coming out February 16th, where Nesta and Cassian must work together when a group of human queens threatens the fragile peace that they have built. So those are the 4 books that I would recommend coming out February. So yeah, I'll have a write-up sent to you tomorrow morning.
Kick ass. So you can see the cover art and more information on those tomorrow. So Tina, where do we find you on the internet?
You can find me, Cheddar Popper, CheddarPoppr, on Instagram, Discord, any social media site. But that's where I usually post what I'm reading, what I think of it. And then, as always, the puppy on Instagram, the.shadow.pupper. And it's National Golden Retriever Day. I'm just saying.
Okay, so here's a funny reaction for you. Speaking of the puppy, you posted this really cute picture of the puppy laying on her back on the rug. That picture, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Ada saw it. And she's like, "Oh," her first line was, "Oh, look how cute," and her second line was, "Did they not get her fixed?"
We're waiting for her second heat. That way the lack of the hormones from having her fixed doesn't interfere with her growth.
Yeah, it just made me laugh because no one else is going to know. Did they not get her fixed?
Yeah, no, it's on the agenda. We want to. She's a little bit too young for.
I want to make sure
right
that the hormones released during her heat cycle doesn't interfere with her like doesn't stunt her growth or cause any health problems. So I'm waiting until her
Yeah.
second heat cycle.
That makes sense. All right, Nico, where do we find you on the webs?
You can find me on all fine art social networks under Nico Scream and IKOSCREAM.
Zachy boy.
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Master of the Matrix 91, and you can find me on Steam as well as Discord, a dangerous mute lunatic.
And on Robin Hood crying.
And yeah, you can also find me on Robinhood every day going, please go higher, please.
To
Please.
the moon!
No, who is
To the
selling right now?
moon!
No!
All right,
So-
find me on all things Culture Smash and also Off the Shelf Movie Night on the YouTubes and Culture Smash on Dead by Daylight. That is my $500 Xbox is a DVD machine. So I'm on there. I'll be on there tomorrow night. So come and play. I guess until next week, everybody have a good week, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye,
Hi,
everybody.
everybody.